I'm picking the Cincinnati Bengals to reclaim the AFC North this year. I got them going 13-4, making it all the way to the divisional round in the playoffs this year. When you get a healthy Joe Burrow, you always have a shot to win it all. And Joe Burrow quietly has started to become one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the league. You know, I was on the phone with one of my homies' peoples the other day, and he said that he doesn't view Joe Burrow in the same class as Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen because he's not a game changer. And I got to strongly disagree with that because what gets overlooked about Joe Burrow is that he's not the most flashiest quarterback. He's not somebody that's super dynamic with his legs. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, so he's not making a lot of highlight reel throws like Patrick Mahomes doing these no-look passes and whatnot. But what makes Joe Burrow one of the best in the game is that he's one of the most efficient passers in the NFL right now. When he gets going, like how we saw him last year when the 49ers defense got torched by Joe Burrow, is that when he gets in the rhythm and he gets hot, he's probably the most accurate quarterback in the game. And he is the closest thing that we have in this new generation of quarterbacks in the league to Tom Brady. We don't have too many true pocket passers anymore. A lot of quarterbacks that are entering the league now are dual threat. Now, although Joe Burrow does have mobility in his game, he can escape the pocket, he can make guys miss and pick up some yardage with his legs. That's not really what his game is all about. He's all about spreading the ball around, getting it out of his hands fast. He reads defenses at a really high level. Joe Burrow is the only active quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in the postseason game. And we seem to just overlook that. There's a reason why Arrowhead is called Burrowhead, because Joe Burrow, every time he goes to Kansas City, he takes over that stadium. People, when they discuss who's the second best QB in the league, normally it either comes down to Lamar or Josh Allen. But what separates Joe Burrow between those two guys is that, for one, you know that he is a better playoff performer than those dudes. And two, he actually knows how to elevate his game in the fourth quarter when it matters the most, and you got to take down Mahomes. Regardless of how bad Mahomes may play, you know that he's always going to go out in the fourth quarter playing his best football. Joe Burrow's been the only one who's been able to piece together a somewhat good enough fourth quarter to get his team past Kansas City. And he may be this generation's Eli Manning. You think about what was the kryptonite for Tom Brady. He didn't want to see Eli Manning in the championship. Everybody seems to think that the Chiefs fear Josh Allen more than they fear Lamar and Joe Burrow. I don't see that to be true. Why would you fear any quarterback that has been unable to beat you? You know, when you play Joe Burrow, even Chiefs fans will admit this, that he gives them a lot of things to be scared about. Because at the end of the day, it's a passing league. You got to be able to win from throwing within the pocket. And Joe Burrow is the best pure pocket passer in the NFL right now. And with how deep Cincinnati is going to be at receiver this year, they don't just have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They drafted a really good rookie wideout out of Alabama named Jermaine Burton. This was somebody who never really reached his full potential in college. He started out at Georgia, had a year when he bursted onto the scene early on, then he goes to Alabama for 2 years, and we didn't really hear his name all too much, but a few years back, he was expected to be a first rounder. The talent definitely is there. He has insane athleticism. He's really good when it comes to winning these 50-50 deep ball matchups downfield. You put him in the slot as the third option behind Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. This is going to be the most explosive that we've seen the Bengals offense since they drafted Joe Burrow. Another reason why this offense is going to be insanely good is because your offensive line woes have finally been fixed. We know that for the longest, Cincinnati's offensive line has been their biggest Achilles heel. Joe Burrow is the only QB in league history to win a postseason game despite being sacked 10 times. With your offensive line improving, you're really good when it comes to interior. You signed Orlando Brown to a massive deal last year in free agency. He didn't really play up to the level of expectation that you expect from a guy getting paid the kind of salary he is, but you expect for him to have a stronger campaign this go around than what he put on display last year. And you drafted Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims in the first round of this past year's draft as well. This should be the best offensive line play that Cincinnati has received since they had Andrew Whitworth on this team years ago. Defensively, Lou Anarumo, this side of the ball under him was a huge disappointment. And it was really surprising how bad Cincinnati was defensively last year. They struggled to stop the run and the pass. And Lou Anarumo, reminds you, is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. He's been interviewed for several head coaching jobs. There's a lot of respect that gets thrown Lou Anarumo's way. And this year, I expect for the Bengals defense to bounce back to being the unit that we've seen years prior to last under Lou Anarumo. You improve your interior of your defensive line by signing defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins in free agency. With him now, you should be able to generate more pressure on the interior when it comes to getting after the quarterback, and he's also going to help improve your run defense. Now, in the back end of your secondary, which was your biggest weakness on D last year because you had a lot of young players at safety, Jordan Battle, Dax Hill. They weren't really all that great. So you bring in veterans, Geno Smith, Von Bell returns. You have an older safety group, but you have a more experienced bunch, which means that you're going to have less blown coverages, and you're not going to give up as many big plays in the passing game as what you did last year. Now, they do have some young cornerbacks that are really promising. Cam Taylor-Britt is really starting to come into his own. DJ Turner, who was drafted out of Michigan last year, didn't really get a lot of opportunities, in my opinion. But when he was on the field, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. And you're moving Dax Hill to corner now. He's either going to play outside or he's going to play the slot. So you got a little bit of a position battle going on for who's going to be your second outside corner. But overall, from what Cincinnati is going to be bringing into this year, an improved offensive line with a healthy Joe Burrow, a deeper group of wide receivers, and an improved defense, I like them to take back the AFC North crown over the Baltimore Ravens. And the gap between Cincy and Baltimore isn't really that big at all. If Cincy can get top 15 offensive line play this year, they're going to end up having the best record in the AFC this year. Their schedule is pretty difficult, but you know that when you have Joe Burrow healthy, he's going to give you MVP level play. And last year, his play was really inconsistent because he was playing with the calf injury that he sustained around this time last year. And then you end up having the wrist injury, which pretty much derailed your season. But even though Joe Burrow went out and missed half of last year, this was still a competitive team with their backup, Jake Browning, which shows you just how good of a head coach Zach Taylor is. And he has a really good staff in place down there. And to be quite honest with you, I trust Cincinnati more this year than I trust Baltimore. Something just isn't right with Baltimore. As long as Lamar is healthy, he doesn't get injured, you know they're going to be in contention to win this division, get the 1 seed. But I just have some concerns with them having a lot of new faces on the offensive line. That coaching staff, you got John Harbaugh, who's really well respected, but for some reason this year, I think we could see the Ravens take somewhat of a step back in terms of their regular season play. I believe they're going to end up playing more quality opponents that aren't going to be too far off from them from a talent standpoint. And I got them going 12-5. It's not like I got them going 10-7 or something crazy like that. I got the Cincinnati Bengals just winning one more game more than them because I just love Joe Burrow and I love his playing style. I trust him a lot more than what I do Lamar, especially come playoff time and late during the regular season. Once you get into late November, December, January, that's when the contenders start to separate themselves from the pretenders. And Cincinnati, I really believe they got the second best chance outside of Kansas City to make it out of the AFC this year. So I got Cincinnati going 13-4, winning the AFC North this year. There's a lot to like about Cincinnati. And with how tough this division is, it's just really hard to see Baltimore winning this thing for the second consecutive year in a row, considering that Joe Burrow is in the same class of quarterbacks as what Lamar is as well.